We decided that we were going to start off the year with another heavy hitter. Like, obviously, we did George Strait a few weeks ago, and then we just did Christmas and Best of after. So we just decided, hey, we'll come back from doing a little special episode by doing another heavy hitter. So we're going to be talking about Sam Hunt Alan Jackson this week.
Basically the same thing.
Why is my phone frozen? All right, we're good.
That's what you get. Because you pee on that cell phone.
When I was actually listening to his music, kind of getting ready, like my heartfelt playlist on Spotify, which has 164.
You shut your fucking face.
I only had like 2 or 3 Alan Jackson songs on it.
Yeah, I think the only song I have on any of my playlists is Blues Man. Because I was going through all this shit that I had saved, and that was the only one that was like downloaded.
I got you.
And I was like, oh, that's weird, because I would have imagined I would have put more than one. But
yeah, but then I went to my like Feel Good and Summer playlist, and I had like 15 Alan Jackson songs. So I realized because we saw Alan Jackson live 2009 or 10. It was 2010 because it was your prom night.
Yeah.
Your senior prom.
Yeah.
Yes, Kevin, I don't know. I think we've said this on the podcast before.
Too,
but
yeah.
If it's your first time listening, Kevin decided to ditch his senior prom because all the girls were like, Kevin, you have to go, right? And he's like, no.
I was just turning them away in droves.
In waves. Just waves of women asking Kevin to prom.
Like, nope.
And he's
going
like,
to a concert.
He's like, no, tonight is for Slim, baby.
Yeah, no, but seriously, I skipped my senior prom to go to an Alan Jackson concert, and I have never regretted it at any point.
My senior prom, I doubt my prom dates ever listen to this podcast, but it was a waste of money. I had fun. Don't get me wrong. I hate the idea. The amount of money I had to spend to wear
hate the whole
rented suit.
Yeah, I hate it all. It's all dumb.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, so we got to see Alan Jackson, Josh Turner, and Chris Young, which is still one of the best lineups.
Yes, because that was Chris Young back when he wore the hat.
Yeah.
So if you listen to our Chris Young podcast, you know what we're talking about there.
Yeah.
Josh Turner is great.
Yeah.
And then Alan Jackson, who was also great.
Yeah. It was such a great concert, and so what I was saying with that was when I started listening to Alan Jackson was like back in like late high school or early college or whatever. So the majority of the songs I listen to by Alan Jackson are like the happy songs like Chattahoochee and like Good Time and like songs like that. So those are the ones that really stick out to me when I think of Alan Jackson. Like obviously 5 O'Clock Somewhere, everyone knows that freaking song. And so that I think that's why my playlists are mostly like the feel good Alan Jackson songs rather than like the sad ones.
Yeah, I remember when I started listening to country. My dad had like several CDs that he would play in his car, and one of them would be like the Toby Keith's 35 biggest hits or whatever the hell that is. One would be it was either Fifth Gear or the other one. Brad Paisley, Fifth Gear, and then what was the one with the road?
Oh no, that's Fifth Gear.
What's the other one?
Time
Well Wasted. Yes,
Time Well Wasted.
Yeah, either one of those two, and then it was Alan Jackson stuff. And so I started listening to him back then and started getting really into him, and so. I don't know. I feel like I listen to a lot of the happy ones because there are a lot of them, but he also just has a lot of music. Like I've done it where I've gone on Spotify and gone to like one of his big collection albums that they put out there because Alan Jackson's been out there long enough that he has a million of those.
He has 12 essential
they
albums.
just changed the name of it. It's like the essential Alan Jackson.
He has
the Alan Jackson you need to listen
2.
to.
Yeah.
The best, simply the best. Like shit like that, and it's just the same shit with like slightly different songs.
Yeah.
And so I'll just put one of those on loop for a while and just go through it because he just has so many great songs.
And it's nice because even though he's obviously like a country legend and he has 40 whatever
legend,
he's a legend. Legend spelled Legund, like Chris Farley spelt it. He's the example of what feel-good country music should be, whereas people today think it's like, oh, it's party music. It's like, no, it's just feel-good music. Like, his music was still genuine country. Because it was just really happy.
He would talk about doing, your quote-unquote stereotypical country things, but it wasn't just complete nonsense and then the same recycled crap, because he would have his own flavor to it. And like one of my favorite lines will forever be the line from Chattahoochee where he says settled for a burger and a grape snow cone.
I was willing, but she wasn't ready, so I settled for a burger and a grape snow cone.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And that's the song that people think of when they think of like, oh, his music is just like dumb party music. It's like, yeah, Chattahoochee's a really stupid song, but it's a fun song. Like, it's not rapey and weird. It's just a song about hanging out on a river, which is. And also, I mean, not even that sounds a little contradictory to what we normally say, but I mean, that was also back when that wasn't every fucking song on the radio.
Well, it wasn't,
and it's still a country song too.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe it's as we've grown older, and maybe there's someone that's 10, 15 years older than us, and just like, oh, all that shit was bad too, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I felt like back then it wasn't so goddamn cookie cutter. Like you could have several songs that used the imagery of like boots and trucks, but it wasn't like that was the crux of your song.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just more words to paint the picture of what was going on at that moment.
And the other thing with him is that's
all his songs.
That's one song. I mean, he also has
not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah, he has like one song like that. I mean, and then you got it's 5 o'clock somewhere, good time. Yeah. But those are he also has genuine Americana type
and he released a blues album or fucking bluegrass album.
Yeah. Which one of our top 10 will be from that album because it's amazing.
Spoilers!
Yeah, spoilers for what you're going to hear in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
so don't fast forward.
Yeah. I'll have a timestamp. Just kidding. I don't do that. But yeah, so, I just like that. And that's actually one of the things I wanted to pull up was the badass Alan Jackson moments because
I was gonna talk about that. My favorite is the one where he was pissed off
that George Jones got cut.
They were gonna not let him play live.
Yeah,
and so he just had his drummer not.
Where they wanted to pre-record.
So they made him pre-record it, and then he was just lip syncing along with it, or maybe he was singing, but nothing else was. And so he was just like, all right, well, my drummer's not going to play with sticks. And he's just like, yeah, just go out there and look like a fucking idiot. And it was great.
Yeah. But yeah, the other one was the,
breaks out into the George Jones
where
song.
they wouldn't let George Jones perform. Like they had to cut him short or something, or else they didn't let him play. So Alan Jackson was going on. He had to sing his song "Papa Top," but instead of doing that, he just he starts the song and then he just cuts into what song by George Choices by George Jones.
Yes,
and it's just so badass that he's just like
exactly.
Screw you guys.
He is, and I love to see things like that because it's a guy who's obviously a big part of the Nashville machine, but he's not like just this prop that gets thrown out there to just do whatever the label wants them to do, make the music whatever the label wants them, the label to make. He actually writes his own music for the most part, does it the way that he wants to do it, and it's great, and I'm glad that they haven't just tried to make him do whatever the fuck Alabama was thinking when they did that Southern Drawl song.
Well, granted, he did have that one pretty bad song. It was like John Jones and Hank, or what the hell was it? It was from his newest CD. I can't remember what it was. I just remember it came out, and I mean, it was still a country song. It just was kind of a dumb type song, but it's not like it matters because it's not going to... He didn't completely go down that rabbit hole with his new album, but... I'm looking at the 10 badass Alan Jackson moments, and he did, obviously, as we talked about on the George Strait episode, was he did Murder on Music Row, because, like we said, Alan Jackson, he's pretty much an outlaw artist because he does what he wants, and he just says kind of screw you to the establishment, and he's such a legend that he can do that where the establishment has to be like, oh, no, we get
exactly.
it.
I think he's got enough pull at this point that the label can't fuck with him, so he's like, no, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah, and then he also, of course, I'm gonna just say it's not on our top 10, but he also wrote Ladder to Heaven.
Where were you when they built the ladder to heaven? Did it make you feel like crying, or did you think it was kind of gay? What a beautiful song. Well, I for one believe in the ladder to heaven. Yeah. 9/11. I said 9/11, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11.
or should I say,
where were you?
should,
They built a ladder to heaven.
or should I say, where were you in the world stopped turning?
Which is a
after
great
9/11?
song.
Yeah, it's like it's just not on our top 10 because there's
Because of South Park.
got it.
Damn you, South Park.
No, because there's a lot to think of with Alan Jackson. But yeah, so he wrote like the one of the most American songs of all time with that, and he was also another badass moment. He was nominated for the most CMAs ever in one year, where he was nominated for 10 and won 5 of them, and it's just like back in 2002. So obviously, Drive was a part of it, and then Where Were You in the World Stopped Turning was like the other part of it that kind of really carried him. But yeah, he's just like, just looking at his moments, I'm just like, this guy's so awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
he's on it. Like, and he's one of those guys, kind of, like George, well, very much like George Strait. But as far as my listening habits, I'll kind of like not listen to him for a while, just kind of forget about it. Then I'll start listening to him, and you motherfucker.
sorry.
But then I'll start listening to him. I can't just listen to like one song. I'll just queue up like 15. Like, I gotta keep going because there's just too many good ones.
Yeah, and then the other song he recorded was the 3-minute positive, not too country up tempo love song. Where it was just a protest song about pretty much making fun of where country music is going.
Yep.
And it's so sad to think like every year we just go like, how can country get worse? And it keeps getting worse.
And then Sam Hunt happens.
Yeah,
and then Walker Hayes happens.
But then you look back, and they've been saying this since like 2000.
Oh, they've been saying. I feel like they've been saying it before then too.
They've pretty much been saying
because the hardcore traditionalists hate the the '90s country people.
Yeah, because I was going to say
like,
Garth.
they made it
people
too
say
happy.
Garth and Shania ruined it, and then you even have people, of course, like we've already discussed this, the people who say that Waylon and Willie were outlaws.
yeah.
And
Well,
they changed it. I'm like, no,
there's people that like if it doesn't sound like Hank Sr., it's not country. I'm like, okay, you're boxing yourself in there pretty hard, but all right, whatever.
Yeah. Another badass Alan Jackson moment, wearing a Hank Williams T-shirt to the 1994 ACMs, because it's just like, that's not really a big deal today, but back in the day it was like a black tie affair, and he just shows up in a sleeveless Hank Williams shirt.
Awesome.
Oh, I love Alan Jackson. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to say. We could just get into his top 10, baby.
Let's do it.